Hey kids, join the club. Get the all-new CCXCC t-shirt made with 100% mutant power. Be like these cool kids. Get it now on dinobeast.com and chrisandersoncomics.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the Chris Claremont X-Men Comic Club. I'm here with as always with my friend John Coates. How you doing, man?
I am doing excellent. Chris, how are you?
Doing great. We are on issue 113 of X-Men. We're ramping up. These are getting to be some crazy stories. When last we met them, the X-Men were captured by Magneto in his under volcano fortress that is miles and miles and miles long. I mean, this guy knows how to build stuff out of metal. And they're in a pretty bad predicament. There's a nanny right now taking care of their every needs, feeding them, changing their diapers, I guess. It's making them all into infants, but not physically. So yeah, this is a trip. So let's see what's gonna go on in this issue, huh?
Yes, sir. That freaking nanny. Oh, I hate that. Great cover here. John Byrne on covers with Layton doing inks.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can definitely tell that it's not Austin on inks because Austin, those wisps of fire, Austin would have done them with brush and then added a flare of nib to it, which is an interesting thing that I noticed when I was working on one of the thumbnails for a later issue or episode of this show. It's an odd technique, and I'll point it out at some point if I spot it.
Yeah, so here we go. Holocaust at the heart of a volcano.
What?
Oh my gosh. And here we get Claremont and Byrne, the raconteurs, as they're called right here. Austin on inks, Kawecki on letters, and Glynis Wen on colors.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And right away we get into some good Magneto stuff. That's a pretty good splash. I like the tilted angle there.
That is the Dutch angle. Yeah, it's a real good one of him just like coming at you. I like this one a lot.
Yeah. And so Magneto, it just kicks off. He's attacking the Royal Australian Aerospace Research Facility.
As you do.
Yeah. Ooh, here we go. Zoomed in a little much. Here we go. And he just like tears this tank apart, which is amazing.
Yeah.
With his metal, and then blacks out a camera so they can't see what he's doing.
That's a great effect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we get our reporters here,
Yep.
That they know he stole stuff, but they aren't really saying what just yet.
Yeah. I love how they draw the fire in the background. It's they're kind of like using the negative space, but it's very controlled. It's not like super chaotic like most people would draw fire. And then he does that razor blade technique for like embers shooting up into the sky. It looks really great.
Yeah. And that's a lot of fire for this reporter to be just right there too.
Yeah. And that little panel at the bottom where he's just like a negative silhouette. That's a nice period to end the page on.
Yeah. And they reference X-Men #1 here when Magneto attacked Cape Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
And then he seems to have vanished. So nice little Magneto attacks some stuff. And then we cut to the professor on vacation here. in Greece
with his new lady friend. Wearing a very strange combination between like European motors, like a moped helmet and turban.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like an egg on her head.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very strange. It's a strange design. But, you know, she is from space, so.
Yeah, and she's got all those feathers or whatever, you know, that stick up in place of her hair. So,
yeah.
You know, you got to hide that.
Right, exactly.
I
mean, she's not covering her arms, but.
Yeah, that's true.
Those face tattoos in 1970, whatever this was, wouldn't have been such commonplace as it is today.
Yeah. And so here she is, and you know, in her thoughts, she's thinking about like, oh, how she's kind of starting to enjoy that she's exiled to Earth, and she calls Earth very primitive compared to her empire where she comes from, and she is, you know, mentioning how much she just loves the professor. But very soon she's going to have to return because she's going to take over as Empress. And, you know, she doesn't know what that's going to do for their relationship.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a common theme between these two characters here.
Yes.
And the professor, he's having problems because he always has his little telepathic rapport with the X-Men, and he can't seem to reach him. He's struggling to get a hold of him.
Yeah, he's sweating. He's really forcing it. He's going to give himself an aneurysm trying to get a hold of him there.
Yeah. Great. I love the sort of the setup here. Just like the details Burns putting into like the background, and we get these little waiters back here.
And that shot of the hands, that moment of her, like, you know, consoling him, and great drawing of hands. I talk about the inking a lot. I know I'm going to shut up about it, but man, it's just stellar work. You know, in the hands of another inker, it wouldn't be as great. But that's not to put down what Byrne is doing either. He obviously laid all of this down, you know. But you can really, when it's something as mundane as hands, you know, stands out to you, you know, you've got something going on there.
Yeah. And Lilandra, she's trying to calm the professor down, saying, well, maybe there's a logical explanation why you can't reach him. And the professor's like, oh, or they could be in deadly danger. And where are they? What happened? And as he utters those words, we get back to this Antarctica scene down here.
Yeah. Don't be a gloomy Gus.
Yeah, maybe they're fine. And now we're going to find out what's going on, and they are not fine.
They are not. Yet again, in another one of these weirdly pre-thought out traps that is useful for each of their powers individually.
Yeah, and here we get our hated nanny robot. And if we remember back to the last issue, Magneto was angry about being turned into a baby where he was going to be raised by Moira. And so he blames the X-Men for that. And so now he's trapped all of them, and they're going to be treated like babies for, I guess, the rest of their lives.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Terrible torture there.
Yeah, like miles underground too.
And they can't speak. And here's Nanny trying to feed Wolverine, and he's trying to, like, you know, fight it off, and it's just like this oatmeal or something just like coming down his chin. And Nanny's like, oh, don't cry, Poppet.
Yeah.
Nanny loves you. Man, it's like, yeah, just crazy. And then she's like mentioning, oh, Colossus or Cyclops, a bath and massage for him today. And he can't do anything about it. And then we get the Beast getting his hair combed.
Great drawing of the Beast.
Yeah. And then, she's got to leave to do some stuff. And then she's going to come back at lunchtime and then read them a nice story before they have naps. So, that's not so bad.
No, it's not so bad at all.
Yeah.
I'd kind of probably just give up.
Yeah, like I'd be dead already. I'd just be like,
that's cool.
And here goes Storm is like, yes, that gives me a couple hours. And we had a discussion, several issues ago about like Storm and her lockpick abilities and if that would come back. And here we go. We get this awesome sequence here. Storm flipping her head carefully just so her little headdress will fall right in front of her.
Yes.
And then on the inside, she's got hidden all her lockpicks.
Yep. Super technologically advanced lockpicks, it looks like. There's all this like tech on them, when real lockpicks, as we know, are just like literal picks.
Yeah. Yeah, these are like the most overdrawn lockpicks.
More lines. It's Todd McFarlane method, more lines, add chains.
Yeah. And this is great. Like, so the only thing she has available to her is basically, her mouth.
Yeah.
And so she can lift one up and get it loose with her tongue and get it into her mouth.
That close-up of the mouth there reminds me of an episode of Aeon Flux,
Oh, yeah.
Where she's making out with Trevor or whatever and passes like a note from a compartment in her teeth into his mouth, and they like animate the inside of their mouths kissing.
Yeah, maybe this inspired that.
Maybe.
And we get a nice scene here. So Storm, now she's working on the lockpick in her teeth here, and then sort of flashes back to her training again.
Yeah. And they use that they use that method again where they use rounded corners on the panels to indicate flashbacks, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And and Scott, like, he can tell something's going on, but he can't talk. And then, Jean is thinking about how terrible that is. And Storm's over here just working away, doing the sequence of the locks. And then we get this new great little flashback here where she's like picking the locks using her toes.
Yes.
To get into this safe as part of her training. And then ping, like she gets it loose almost. And she slips up and the pick falls and hits the ground.
What a drag. Yeah, you got this scene, these flashback scenes with this guy, and he's colored gray, which I think is great. Just so creepy. And he was the head of like the thieves guild, basically, in where she was growing up with in Morocco or something, right?
Cairo.
It was Cairo.
Yeah.
And he throws her in this room tied up and is like, if you can get out, then, you're worthy. If not, then, you will deserve your fate. So, it's like hard love or tough love.
Yeah. Ultimate final training.
Yeah.
Escape or die.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. I love how these lockpicks look like little lightsabers too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also, these pages don't feel like burn pages to me, and I'm not sure what's going on, why that is.
Yeah, well, I could see that if you're coming from it where a lot of your burn experience is later burn experience.
Yeah, but even in the context of the rest of the issue, these two kind of feel a little different to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Storm's face looks almost doesn't look burnish.
Yeah.
A little bit. Some of her features there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I wonder why that was. There's a story there.
And of course, that sound brings the nanny back.
Yep.
And the nanny is like, "Oh, your headdress fell down. Poor thing. I'll just put it back for you."
Yeah. And there's nothing they can say because it's just babble that comes out of their mouth.
Yeah, just like baby talk. And then the nanny's like, "I'll go find some pins to attach it to your head so it won't ever fall down again." And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Nope.
Makes you wonder if she's going to pin her hair right to her head, you know?
Yeah. Some evil kind of pin situation.
Yeah.
And then Storm, breaks down and cries here. And it says for only the third time since she was a child.
Wow. She's a tough cookie.
Tough.
So tough.
And now we're going to cut to time passes, it says, and 1,000 miles out into space. We get this roving asteroid.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So this is asteroid M, right?
This is asteroid M.
Yeah. Now, is this the first time we're seeing this?
No, it shows up in the early Kirby stuff.
Oh, it does. Okay, because that's a great place for him to have a base.
Yeah, super awesome. Great design. Great idea.
Mm-hmm.
He just floats above the Earth in his own little asteroid. Just awesome. Yeah, and it's like, it's Magneto's home, and here he's getting notified that there's something going on at his Antarctica complex. There's a malfunction.
Yeah,
and he's like, well, why hasn't Nanny repaired it? So now he's got to go down to Antarctica and check it out and see what's going on.
Love the shot of him opening up the hole in the earth in the magma.
Mm-hmm.
That just feels so cinematic. It feels like something that you would have seen in one of the movies,
Oh yeah, definitely. Like this whole sequence, like coming out of the asteroid, backlit, and then just floating down this little bubble, all the way through his lava and into his awesome base. And
yeah, even the magnetosphere there, where he's kind of pushing through the atmosphere, That's so cool.
Yeah. So Magneto makes it down here and finds Nanny just driving around in a circle.
Yeah.
Seemingly malfunctioned.
This whole page is fantastic. That long panel where he has no face, it's not lit at all,
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's a great way to show that like there's no light down there. Like the lights are off or it's dim lit, because his face, you wouldn't see any of it.
Yeah, and it's just great mood setting because he is so, so dark and evil.
And so he already knows. He's like, okay, it must be the X-Men.
These guys again.
Yeah. And I got to wait for them. And then like when they make their move, then I'll just take them out. And then all of a sudden, here we go. X-Men hit him now.
Yeah. Scow.
Looks
like it made me laugh when I first read it, like the X-Men hit him now, and the amount of time it takes you to say that. He could have totally just crushed them,
Yeah, and also you're giving up your element of surprise.
Exactly.
You still had it, by yelling before you.
Even if you say now, it's too much. You gotta almost go. Oh.
Yeah. But the shot knocks him down. And he's like, ooh, he braced for it, but it was almost more than he could handle.
Bam.
And then here we go. He's down troops, and Wolverine's going to make sure he stays that way. Yes, sir. Do it, Wolvie.
That's right.
But of course, Cyclops is kind of in his head, like, follow the plan, or back off.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, boss man, now get the hell out of my head.
Yeah.
So they're still going at it in the middle of a do or die mission. They're going to take time to just go at each other.
Such children.
Yeah. And here we get this great panel to show us that they're all mind linked.
Yep.
Through Jean.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Her lips are very, very, very puffy. You see that? They're like clouds.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's funny.
Yeah. And these I like the treatment of the eyes, it's just like this like exaggerated eyelashes.
Yeah. I love that. This like outline-y kind of artwork.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a Rorschach, the way that it's symmetrical, but it's also not at all, because if you really look at it, it's really not that symmetrical at all.
Yeah.
But well played.
Yeah. And it's a nice, it's a nice Cockrum invention for showing some of this telepathic abilities. And it's nice that Byrne carries that over.
Yeah. The next panel too, I love where Storm is conjuring something up, and you can see the way that her hair is flowing there, and it doesn't look like they used white media. They inked in between the hairs there, and I think that works really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's drawing all the humidity out of the air around Magneto.
Yes. So that would make it so that there's less static charge or something, I would imagine. Maybe that's what they're going for.
Yeah, you know what? That's an excellent question for my wife, the museum collections expert that she is. She's dealing with sort of humidity controls and variations for housing collections all the time. So I'll put her mind to work on this plan of Cyclopses, and we'll get back to you.
Okay.
Dear viewers, we'll get the science behind this maneuver. Storm gives this great little she kind of tells us what happened in this little word bubble. Like, she's a little bit weak because she was able to get a second lockpick down and finish the job and get him free.
Right.
So that's how they got free, basically in exactly the way we saw, only she was able to do it with a second pick. And of course, so back to the battle. Here comes our man, the Banshee, getting ready to do work. Another great Magneto, mostly sort of in dark there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just see his nose emerging from it. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Banshee, with his scream, hits him hard in the back, throws him off balance, and now here comes Wolverine in to do some damage. And remember, last time Wolverine tried to get him, he just hit his cape.
Yes.
And so now he's like recalibrated, I guess, his aim, and he's gone, past the cape and actually cuts him in the back.
Yeah. I also love the how the backgrounds are black, but they just put in these little bits of like light for technology back behind there. It's a great time saver. But they could have just made it all black, but they give the illusion that there's more back there just by adding a few dots for computers and tech.
Yeah, it just keeps it fresh in your mind that they're in this high-tech space.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they always say like once a page you should, depending on the artist that you talk to, at least once a page you should back it off and show the environment just to remind the viewer where they're at. You see so many comics where, it'll be action, action, action and no backgrounds whatsoever. But at least once a page, you should back it off and show the environment just to subconsciously remind the viewer. And here, at the bottom page does have, it's really lit up there because of Phoenix, but it is super effective just to add those little bits. Now you talk to somebody like Daniel Warren Johnson, and I think he'll say like you need to have the background in every panel, but I don't think that that's necessarily the case. And this is a great example of kind of meeting it in the middle.
Yeah, well said. It almost kind of foreshadows, like Wolverine in front of just these like lights. The Barry Windsor Smith, I don't know, 18 years later doing Weapon X. Barry takes it to the like ultimate degree.
Yeah, which came out first, Machine Man or Weapon X? Probably
Machine Man. Well, that's a great question. Did he pick up directly after Kirby's issues?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think there was some time in between them. That's a good question.
It has to be Machine Man, though.
Well, if it was Machine Man, then that was training grounds for Weapon X, or the other way around, because both of them are just like so crazy with the wires. You know who else does a really great job of wires is Matthew Allison. Matthew Allison.
Oh yeah.
If I'm gonna be looking at how to draw wires, I'm gonna be looking at Barry Windsor Smith doing Machine Man or Weapon X. I'm gonna be looking at Matthew Allison. In fact, I have a piece up here where he drew just a little bit of wires on the neck, and I pull it down all the time to be like, how do you do that again?
That's great.
Yeah.
So here we go. Wolverine gets him good, but doesn't finish him off. And he just gets chucked away, easily with the metal in his claws there. And then, Magneto says, when the battle's done, you'll pay for this. And then here comes Phoenix, who says you're going to win. And she just smokes him here.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, see, that's what I mean on that panel where she really lit it up. And so now you see, all the computers and tech.
Yep. Yeah. And, Magneto's thinking, like she's nothing like she used to be. She's much wilder, almost barbaric.
Yeah.
She enjoys using her power as much as Wolverine loves using his claws.
Yeah.
So we just get, every time she does something, either it's her or someone else is dropping these hints that she likes it too much and takes it too far.
Yeah.
That ultimate power just getting to her.
Yeah, no wonder Wolvie likes her. Let's look at that panel before too. To keep going with the point of the artwork that we were kind of discussing. Do you see how there's that foreground element just in there of just that like tech
on the last panel?
The middle, the third panel.
Oh yeah, like what Leia sticking out kind of in front of Magneto there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not only it's showing us it's showing us the environment still, but it's also like creating depth where they could have just had the two of them in here and it would have been fine. But they added this element of layering a foreground element over the top of Magneto there. And giving it, adding to the composition because, they say that images are better in things are better in threes, more appealing to the eye. But then also it gives it this depth and shows you more of a room just by adding one little thing to like overlap in front of him. He's, he's really doing a great job of laying out these pages.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
I think, it must be just part of like this computer council.
Yeah.
This computer stuff. Yeah.
And it's not anything unless you really,
into it.
Right. Yeah. Unless you were like really looking at this, you wouldn't even notice it. And that's the point. It's just subconsciously reminding you that that's where they are and that this room is bigger than you think it is. And yeah, it's good stuff.
And so, yeah, so that stuff blows up. And now Magneto, he's really struggling. You can see all the sweat on his face. He's saying they're using hit and run strategy, giving me no opportunity to strike back.
Yep.
Lord, it's hot all of a sudden. I'm sweating like a pig.
Yeah, I mean, he's holding back the everything, really, you know, like if he loses consciousness or something, that whole thing can come down, right?
Yeah, they're in a precarious spot.
Yeah.
And so here comes Colossus, ready to take his turn. And Magneto tries to, yell at him again, like, "Oh, you're the weakest because you're metal," but he can't even get his taunt in because Colossus just starts slugging him.
Oh, yeah. And look at that. He just nails him right in the gut. Like, had to have taken the wind out of him there.
Yeah, he's like, "Ow." And Colossus just like, he's got to hammer him until he drops. Also, man, Magneto is tough. He can just like take like punches from Colossus.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, he does sit-ups for sure.
And here's Cyclops, kind of waiting on the sideline, waiting, watching the plan come together. And then here comes the Beast. Get that one in focus here. Doing this awesome sort of spinning Nightcrawler around.
Yeah, the two blue guys.
And just chucks him, which is great. And then he teleports as he's flying through the air.
Hammer throw, teleport. Boom. No time to react.
Yeah. Grabs Magneto's helmet to, make him more vulnerable. And now Colossus is just going to try and just punch him into unconsciousness.
Yeah. And so now you can see above Nightcrawler there. Mine is colored a little bit differently than yours. It might be kind of hard to see in yours, but the way that he handles the lava, glowing through the blackness of the room that they're in that is gorgeous drawing.
Yeah, it really looks like it's sort of seeping through and melting the cracks of that dome that is above them. And Nightcrawler looks up and, he's like, the roof dome, it's opening.
Yes.
And then Colossus is like, "What have you done?" And Magneto says, "If we're doomed, X-Man, the blame is yours. Phoenix destroyed the main console. The systems over the complex are running wild, and there's nothing we can do to stop it."
Ooh.
And so everybody, the fighting basically just pauses. And Banshee, what do we do now? We're a mile beneath a live volcano.
Yes.
Yep. And it's just like it's just melting, dripping down the magma. Awesome.
So good. This panel here with at the bottom with Nightcrawler and that kind of blast that's going on there. That's the line work that Austin's doing that I was talking about, which is super interesting. How it's these dashes. It must have been just like, the side of a pencil when he penciled it. But then he not only puts it in with a brush to make these big thick lines, but then adds next to it these like fine quill lines, and it just does something super interesting. It's very, very an Austin signature. That and the scraping of the ink with the razor are two things that I noticed that he does a lot, and it almost makes it look way more detailed than it actually is.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And great look at Nightcrawler there too, as he's on the wall. And Nightcrawler has this plan of like, well, hey, we can all get out. Magneto will just make a force bubble and he'll just take us all out of here.
Oh yeah, he's totally gonna do that because he doesn't want you all dead.
Yeah, because maybe we're pals now. And Magneto's like, no, where Magneto walks, he walks alone.
Yeah, this isn't a Joker Batman scenario where they need each other.
And, you know, the Banshee comes swinging by, saves Wolverine from getting just lava dumped on him. As everything's just coming down, and the Beast, you know, he's over here. He grabs Jean. And then Cyclops is talking about like, you know, I got to blast through the lava flow to get out of here.
Yeah. I want to see that panel in black and white. There's so much negative space. That panel's like more about what's not drawn than what is drawn. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. That's great. Like the glove just going into like the flame there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that uplighting.
And here the roof is finally caving in. Magneto is making his getaway.
Yep.
And he's saying like he's hurt. He's got broken ribs, maybe worse. And he's using the last of his energy to kind of get out of here. So, you know, the new X-Men finally beat him. So that's on the plus side. But everything explodes and caves in, and they're all dead. Except for Phoenix.
Yep.
Here comes Phoenix busting out, and the Beast was hanging on to her. So now they're out here in Antarctica. And she just passes out from the energy use to get them out of here. And the Beast is just like, we're a billion miles from nowhere in Antarctica with a dying girl in my arms in a blizzard. And he tries to make it a few steps, and then he collapses too. And then we just kind of fade out, and they're just laying in the snow in Antarctica. So it looks like they're not going to make it. The rest of the X-Men are in this volcano.
No, they're dead. They're dead. This is the famous issue where all the X-Men died, and then, you know, they haven't been back for 45 years. The end.
Yeah. And it even says, to be continued, ?
Sorry, everybody. This is the final episode of the Chris Claremont X-Men.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Thanks for taking this wild ride.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty clever how they end up dealing with the rest of this in the future issues. And it's good. Yeah.
Another good cliffhanger ending, you know, where like if you pick this up when it came out, you're like, oh man, maybe they are dead. Maybe they're going to restart the team again. Maybe the Beast and Jean make it.
Well, I mean, you know, they killed off Thunderbird. You know, they could be pulling Game of Thrones here and just knocking people off left and right. Heck, that would be a hell of a story if you killed, you know, 7/10 of the team, 8/10 of the team, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, and then they just ship the book to the Professor and the Landra in space.
Yeah, it just becomes a romance comic.
Yeah, just Star Wars
Hank and
romance.
Jean are now a couple. It's Beauty and the Beast. No, that's a great issue. Again, he nailed it with the cliffhanger. He didn't really jump, you know, to anything new in this one like he tends to do. Just to back to the Professor for that second.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of like B's stories that are really setting up future stuff.
Right.
It's just like, let me just take a quick peek at these two for one page. and remind everyone that they're hanging out together.
Yeah.
And then we're back into the story.
Yeah, I love that it's not like super. I mean, he definitely, Claremont definitely has a formula, a loose formula, that's just, we'll call we'll call it his style, and he's not like married to it. He's not a slave to it. He can move off. He's not. You can tell that he's not just. This isn't like a Play-Doh fun factory. He's really thinking about. These, and you can feel the love that he gives to these stories and these characters as he's creating them. Let's take a look at the classic version real quick.
Great cover on that.
Great cover. It is Adams and Austin. And inside, we get this cool little tiny version of all the characters.
Oh, that's great. I wonder how big he made those. Like if he did those like on a full sheet, like on a piece of paper, and then they really, really shrunk them down.
They're not super detailed. They're pretty detailed, but the thing with Austin is he's really good. I don't know if he sharpens his nibs or what, but he's really good at getting details into small things, as we've seen for background things from these issues. So I think that they were drawn probably on 11 by 17, exactly the way that they are on the paper,
Oh, like he just laid them out exactly like that.
I bet that's exactly how it was done. Maybe we can find it somewhere.
Yeah, Art Adams, when you watch this episode, hit us up and let us know, sir.
Well, there's always a chance that we could talk to him and maybe get him on for something. So let's see here. Plotters Chris Claremont and John Byrne. So Byrne is actually helping plot these issues now at this point, apparently.
I think Claremont has said in some interviews that he, like when he would have new artists come on, like he actually gets their input on stuff, who they like as characters more than other characters, who they like to focus on. And so, he could be just giving everybody a little bit of props for that reason, but he could also be just like, hey, we're going to deal with Magneto. Like, how do you think we should do it? And like, it could have been a collaborative discussion.
Yeah. It gets interesting in successive issues where there's sections of the story that say they're plotted by Byrne, and then others that are just plotted by Claremont. So, there definitely was something going on there. It's not just we'll say that it's plotted by you. No, there's specific points, in later issues where they point out, this was just Claremont and this is Claremont Byrne. And I think we know, like, John became, a pretty big writer in his own right. Yeah. So, he was already thinking as a writer at the time, probably, or coming up as one, and, really probably wanted to have his hand in that. You got Kieran Dwyer doing pages 5 and 9 through 10 in here. So let's skip ahead and take a look here. So it's right after the nanny is, has them and walks out. We just get these other points here of, Storm kind of in her head, thinking about how she wants to try to get out, and then you got Wolverine just raging inside because he does not like to be in cages. It's getting harder for him to stay rational and control. He's going to go into berserker mode. Scared, hate to admit it, but I'm scared stiff. And if I fall down that pit, I'll never climb out again. So dang, it's like showing that he's like, if he goes into rage mode, he can't really get out. And then let's see here, 9 and 10. So this is a deeper dive into what Magneto is up to on Asteroid M.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So his wealth places him far beyond the dreams of avarice. So it talks about how wealthy he is here. And he's trying to like, he's got a big curiosity for the universe. Like he's getting very scientific here. And he's just trying to learn how the, he's learning that he can manipulate nuclear structures at a subatomic level. So he's learning more about what his powers can do, the true extent of his powers. And then you get this, shower scene, and he starts talking about his wife and how she, looked at him as a monster after he used his powers, and their baby died, or their daughter died, and how Charles was his dearest friend, and how Charles is basically he feels like Charles is weaponizing the X-Men. He created the X-Men just to oppose him. So, he's got a stick up his butt about it. So those are the extra pages that were added for the classic X-Men. And then you get this backup, which is really a fun one. We go to, we don't know it in the regular continuity that Magneto is Jewish, and that his family was, sent to the concentration camps, and he was sent to the concentration camps. And here we get this thing where he is basically hunting Nazis in South America. And then, working for, they don't say it's the CIA, but the Control is the person they're talking to. So it could be, British Secret Service, or, MI6 or the CIA. And, he goes and finds this guy, and it's not part of the plan. It's not part of the plan for him to find this guy, but he finds him, and he, takes his tank and he deals with him. But, Control is, we skip ahead to where he's hanging out here. He reads the paper of a renowned mutant expert, lectures on genetics at a conference, so we're starting to get this connection. And then he meets his, psychiatrist, and she is on vacation with him in Rio de Janeiro. And she is a pretty lady, and they end up kind of hooking up. And as they're about to kind of get it on, she's like giving him a massage. Someone comes out of the dark and slits her throat.
Brutal.
Dang. And we find out that it is Control. Because they are not happy that he did that. And he said, "Suit yourself, I can't feel pain." And now I'm not exactly, he's trying to, fight him off. And I'm not exactly sure what this vest is. I'm not sure who these people are. But, he is none too happy about it, and goes ahead and just destroys them. So, he was trying to do good and hunt down these Nazis. But I think basically whoever he was working for had this guy that he killed on the inside. And so he crossed a line. And so they're gonna, they were gonna destroy his life, and instead he turned it around on them. So that's a pretty cool backup story. I could kind of see a full series of Magneto hunting Nazis in Argentina.
Oh yeah,
that'd be a cool miniseries.
Yeah. In Magneto, he's one of those characters where the backup stories here, like whenever they do a Magneto one, they're like fleshing him out in ways that he's not fleshed out yet in the regular series at this point.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And some of the best drawings I think that Bolton has done are on this page. Just this well lit evil face here, him hovering up above him, and then like this one reminds me of, you know, it could be like Bassett or Rice or Wrightson even, you know, very aligned with their style too. So
Yeah, that's a great image there.
yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, and then the backup image. So, you know, me, I don't know. I haven't read all these. I don't know if this ends up being part of the actual issues later on, but it's a cool backup. You know, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Great issue. Great issue, John.
Oh, good stuff. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, man. So our Instagram handles and websites are on the ticker tape, but also in the show notes. And you know, stick around for a speed thumbnail drawing. And after that, you will get all the info on both of our stuff. And until next time, when we discuss issue, I always forget the number, 114 of X-Men. Find your copies, and you know, be excellent, right, John?
That's right.
Later.
Later, guys.
Check out dinobeast.com for all things John Coates like Dino Beast, Ninja 4, M.L.F, Berserker, and more. ChrisAndersonComics.com is where it's at for books like Chaotic Neutral, Spectral, A Showcase of Fear, Lost Angels, and more, plus apparel and original art. Also a link to Patreon where you can read Three-Headed Pigman now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. We'll see you next time on the Chris Claremont X-Men Comic Club.